Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I haven't looked at it yet, but
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
maybe I can figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
I don't, but I will do that.
I'm sure.
Bye.
Welcome, everybody, to the February 1st Caroline Town Board meeting. It's getting started out the first day of the year of the month. So I'll start the meeting with the pledge to the flag. So. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So I don't see anybody signed up for privilege of the floor. Is there anyone that wishes to address the board? I don't. Not seeing anyone in Zoom land. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start the meeting and ask if there are any additions or deletions from the agenda. We will add the resolution that Cal brought last week on the naming of the Caroline History Room, and and I will add a resolution after the introduction of the property tax exemption local law to set the public hearing for that law for our next meeting. And then yeah, and then for a brief discussion regarding meeting with the court. So those are the three items I have to add. Anything else from anybody? Great. Okay, so without further ado, the highway superintendent is on center stage.
No, he's being first. Mine's pretty quick. Just one new thing. You may see some on trucks and counter trucks that will now have some flashing green lights added to the yellow. It's a new state law that they passed, so.
It sounds flashy.
It is pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's just a way to distinguish municipalities from parking lot. You know, flowers and.
So any plow that a town or county has will have that?
You'll start seeing it. So,
Okay.
I think we'll have maybe one or two. Like this month that we're slowly gonna.
I see.
Introduce ourselves into it, so.
Yep.
We're not completely changing everything, we're just adding a few. Green lights will be on it, so. It'll be kind of a new change if you see it, so that's what that's going. Other than that, we're starting to kind of prioritize some spring work. And also we can kind of get a jump start on the construction season this year, but we'll see what the weather does from here on out, so.
Okay,
Um,
so you're working on the 284 agreement or?
we're gonna have what to put on it, so.
I did regarding our call this afternoon, I let the computing center know to
Okay,
come by tomorrow to
yeah,
see if they can.
sooner the better.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just a computer concern that he wanted to have, Bob wanted to have addressed tomorrow, so. They're coming tomorrow anyway to help us in the office a little bit, so this is scheduled a while ago.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess to elaborate on that just a little bit. If something pops up on any of your computers, says it's from Microsoft. Just turn your computer off, like legit, turn it off on the wall.
Including the highway facilities project folder or no?
No.
No,
That
no,
was the only reason
email.
I actually opened it, like, and I thought there was something wrong today, was because I added that. 'Cause I didn't have Teams on
Okay,
my computer. So I put it all on there and I just read through it, and then a couple hours later it pops up that there's a problem with my Microsoft application, and I have now had this huge virus, and
oh, no,
you need to call this number. Well, it doesn't take long, once you call the number, to figure out that you're getting
no,
scammed.
you're fish, man.
So, yeah, they got. So the bad part is I don't know if they actually got into the computer or not, so we're gonna have the computing center go through the computer tomorrow, make sure that there's nothing planted in there, or what, we're gonna kind of scrub it. We gotta do some updates, virus software and stuff on it.
But Lindsay did do some,
We did get some, so we don't think anything happened.
Okay,
But just in case you get a thing that locks your, it legit locked my computer right up.
great,
Couldn't do anything until you call this number. So,
But if you turned it off and turned it back on again, did that persist or were you?
well, put that. No, once I had the phone call and figured out that it just got new, yeah.
yeah, I guess I'll never.
It's changed, but I don't know what they had gotten into at that point, so. Sure tomorrow, but it doesn't look like anything, but. Safety precaution, we're gonna like.
Yeah.
Install that yourself, so.
Okay.
Virus software and stuff like that, so.
just reminded me like at Wells College, they would, the IT guy would do phishing trainings,
Yep,
send stuff out to the faculty, see who got it, who fell for it.
Like,
So it's a good
this
thing
is a
because,
scam, they've stepped their game up, so
Okay.
yeah,
if you see anything with, anything to do with Microsoft.
okay. I will not open it.
great, okay,
That's.
Thanks,
pretty
Buck.
much it. I might have some stuff later, but that's all.
so. Yeah, and I guess maybe I'll take the opportunity here, since I didn't make it. Since, just to mention, we did get the 4 proposals. And so, I checked Bob for his availability next week, and so maybe we can talk about that later in the meeting to try to schedule some times to meet with folks for the interviews, so. Great. Okay, thanks, Bob. You're right, that was quick. All right, Dan. Are you there? I did see you there. Can you, maybe Jesse can unmute you? I'm a little fumbling here. Let's see.
I'm also unvideoed, and if you want to see me, you have to allow it, I guess. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter.
What you look like.
Yeah, hang on, I can.
I think I forgot. I've never seen, oh, just click on, you see how it's, no, in the room mark.
In the
What
room?
happens if you click on the list where there's a slash through the video?
Am I in the, is my cursor?
Down. See the list.
I see the list, yeah.
Okay, so go to Dan. Go to Dan Klein. Down, and then click on the right,
Yeah.
there another video.
Oh, do I need to see? Oh, I know what I can do there. Okay, Dan, you should be able to, I believe, reveal yourself. There you-
Yes, it worked.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that took longer than my report's going to take, though. I do only have one thing that I was going to report tonight, and that is about the volunteer firefighter property tax exemption that the county is also, it sounds like you guys are working on that too. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the counties, we're having a public hearing next Tuesday, February 7th at 5:30. And we'll probably vote on it that night. My guess is that it will pass easily, so I'm not asking anyone to come and support it. You know, I think we're all good, and no one needs to go to an extra meeting if they don't want. We're doing the version with all the bells and whistles, so that's includes when you hit 20 years, your assessment exemption becomes permanent. Surviving spouse of a firefighter or ambulance driver also gets the benefit. And there are a couple other provisions in there, but that's the basics of it. And that's all I have to report.
Great, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we are, I'll be introducing our tax exemption local law tonight that has that, so. And at Jay Franklin and Guy Crow's suggestion, we're doing a comprehensive exemption local law that kind of has all of ours wrapped into one, so that it's an advantage for a county assessment to be able to keep track of things a little better, I think,
Yeah.
and for us too, so.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing it also.
Great. Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good to see you. All right, committee reports. I could go first. I am standing in for Tim, so Tim had cataract surgery today, so he's just listening in. But so last night, the zoning commission accepted their quote unquote preliminary report, which is a report that summarizes the process that they went through in drafting a zoning law, and it also includes the draft zoning law. So that document will be put forward for public hearing. The public hearing, 2 public hearings were set. One for February 22nd at 6 p.m. here in the town hall, that will be both in person and remote, just as we're doing now. And the second one will be February 28th at the Brookendale Fire Hall, also at 6 p.m. start time. And that will be an in-person meeting. I think we're also going to try to videotape that meeting. But so those public hearings for the preliminary draft, the preliminary report of the zoning commission have been set. Those meetings are, and that document will be available on the website if it's not already by tomorrow, I'm sure. And we'll be making printed copies for people at the town hall as well. And so once they finish those public hearings, the zoning commission will consider the comments and reconvene to examine the draft local law in relation to the comments. And so and at some point they'll decide on what will be a final report to submit to the town board. So that's a big step last night in that process.
It's gonna be draft posted pre-hearing, and then of course the final will be posted after that.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. So it's only that.
and yeah, and then
Right now, the November.
yeah,
They decide provisions.
Right. Right.
so yeah. So that's my report from the zoning commission for Tim. So if any questions about that, or
I mean, just a suggestion that maybe we send a town announcement out when it is posted.
that's a great suggestion. Yeah.
And I might, well, I don't know, I guess this is a question for the zoning commission, whether they think that. I'm on the zoning commission page right now, and
Yeah.
it's very busy.
Oh,
Which is great, because it has everything there, but I just don't know, I mean, I would totally defer to the zoning commission, but whether they feel like at this point. The new document can just supplant this, and then we should get rid of the like
Mhm.
November 11th version, May 22nd, you know, I'd like, can we just
Oh, like put it on another
get rid of
page,
it,
or
or put it on a different page?
page.
Maybe,
It's just confusing.
we'll see. I think the way we dealt with that before was putting whatever was most recent right on the homepage.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then referring to the zoning commission page, but one way or another, we want to archive that material.
Right,
But I hear what you're saying, whether we,
because right now, the draft zoning law from December 28th, 21 is still up.
Yeah. but
Yeah,
it's-
and it could be very confusing. I think, yeah, I agree. So that's a great point. So
Hey, Mark.
I'll just put,
Will you add Tim as a co-host? I think he had a comment.
oh, okay.
Mark,
Hi, Tim.
yeah, I was just gonna say, Catherine, that I think my hunch is the zoning commission is gonna want to make sure that that archive material remains available to the public. If the public would want to compare the changes that have been made, so I'll work with Jean and we'll figure out a way to make sure that those clarified. I mean, maybe it would make sense for us to have a new separate page with the final document. You know, that would be more easily distinguished from everything else, but I'll talk to her about it. It's a good point.
It is, and the tricky thing is, if we have a zoning commission page, and that's where the archive stuff is, we want to make sure that if people are gonna be looking for the stuff right now, so that they don't get fooled into thinking it's not there, so I think, yeah,
It's
Any-
not, I don't want to complicate things, I'm just wondering
No,
if it's like,
it's-
we just want to be like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
That we're commenting on,
Yeah.
none of the other stuff at this point.
yeah, I like the idea of making a panel on the homepage that features it. And then maybe at the top of the zoning commission page, also feature it there. So it's the first thing they encounter on that page. And then if they want to dive into the whole history, they can do that too. So
Because right now on the homepage, it has the November 2022, so we can just.
Yeah.
replace that.
just
Whatever the zoning
Okay,
commission.
okay. great, thank you. That's a great point. Any other thoughts or recommendations or questions?
Great job, they did, I was in the meeting last night and that was. They did a lot, of work. and
Yeah.
It was pretty remarkable, so.
Thank you. Okay. Any other reports?
Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council, facilitated a number of municipalities, coming together last summer to write a Safe Streets for All grant. And we got it. So,
Yeah,
yes, we got $600,000. So Caroline's taking part in that. So we will be able to kind of convoluted, we will be able to hire a planner
okay,
to work out a plan to increase pedestrian safety, traffic safety, and what's possible, you know, on the streets and you know, hamlets, in a rural community. And then, once that's together, I'll have ducks in a row, I'll be able to apply for more money through the Safe Streets. So we're all really excited about this. All
Yeah.
the municipalities are like.
and
emailing
what's
back forth.
what's the timeline on the planning phase?
Don't know.
It's one planner, right?
No,
Oh,
no, I don't think so. I think we're allowed to hire.
oh,
yeah,
okay, I just
yeah.
was wondering, yeah,
Yeah, no, each town is gonna get its money. Remember, we passed
Oh.
a resolution that said that we would have a matching thing, but that's what I understood.
Okay.
But it wasn't gonna be like years down the line. I didn't think that wasn't my understanding. I mean, it has been a number of months since I looked at this. But, yeah, I'll ask Fernando what the next steps
Okay.
are.
Okay,
Because it would be forever. if We had to wait for the city of Ithaca and then this town and then that. town
right.
and
No, I'm
this
just
town.
wondering if there's like one planner that will be seeking information from each municipality and working with all the
I think
municipalities.
so, but they've got to be. I will find out.
Okay.
That actually is a good question. Because,
Some,
it was kind of. I remember that it was kind of up in the air, like when the plan is completed, plans are completed, do we then apply for funding separately, or do we want to band together again? And that was kind of up in the air, like, we'll see what happens,
Okay.
and we'll try to get more guidelines, so, yeah.
Great.
Anyway, so that's good,
congratulations and thank you.
yay. So, those who don't know, I tried to write that grant on my own, and I got completely overwhelmed, so I went and asked for help. And the Transportation Council, and a number of other towns I found out were having a similar problem, so we all banded together. Yeah, so that's my report right now, so that's. good. The
Great.
broadband, I think, is moving ahead with, I think from Hunt's. Yeah.
I sent him a nudge the other day and haven't heard back, so we'll
Okay.
have to re-nudge
Yeah.
because
I
that
will.
should move along. Yeah.
Ag, we believe, Pete Hoyt and I believe Cal are gonna, triangulate our guests, educated guesses on our next meeting is, because there was discussion, we think it's next Tuesday, is this correct?
We'll go back.
We're
and
gonna
check.
confirm. I feel better that there's confusion, but yeah, we think it is next Tuesday.
It's not tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow, no, definitely not tomorrow.
It's not this week.
That was my understanding too.
Because we changed the meeting schedule for the ag committee and, I'm gonna go next Tuesday. If that's not correct, we will correct it and we'll put it on the calendar. And we will be able to Zoom it. And we've always been able to Zoom it, but we're just reiterating that it will be Zoom if people want to Zoom. Anything else from ag? Cal?
No, I think that covers it.
Yeah. Okay,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
When does George France, I mean, he's been authorized by the board and so forth. So when did he kind of start doing stuff?
That's a good question. I know that he's planning on coming to the next meeting. So I think Monica and George will tell us what the kind of timeline is, but yeah, he's engaged, as of the next meeting. Yeah, you're jumping if I'm wrong, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I think that's right. Yeah,
I
he's
think-
coming to the next meeting.
Good.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Any other questions? For the ag committee
February 7th,
liaison?
and George will come. Anyone else?
Great, thank you. How are you, Cal?
Good, I have a report.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm sure I'll have something to say at the business meeting after coming back from AOT, and just learn.
Great,
I'd like to
Yeah.
Reserve my report for that time.
great. Okay, with that, I will move on to some of our business items. Hopefully all of them ultimately. So I will offer a resolution for completion of the annual accounting audit of the Caroline Town Court. Resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby affirms completion of the 2023 audit of the Caroline Town Court on 24 January 2023. Present were Court Clerk Diane Gare and Justice Gary Reinbold, with the audit performed by myself, Councilperson Snow, and Kelly McKenzie. The accounts and record keeping of the Caroline Town Court were found to be in good order. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Catherine. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, quick question.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if it should be changed to the 2022, since it was the 2022 books,
Oh,
the 2022 audit of the court on the 24th of January, 2023. Maybe not. I just wanted to put it out there.
yeah. I think I've always just referred to it as the year in which we did the audit. I know that's how I have them lined up in my folder. I see what you're saying. We could say completion of audit. How's this? Audit of the 2022 accounts or of the Caroline Town Court on 24th January 2023. The only thing I wonder about that is on some of the questions they asked, well, yeah, so they asked for some of the information was from 2023, right?
There
Was,
was a little bit carry over on, last check.
Yeah.
deposit.
yeah,
Would it just be like both 2022 slash or dash?
that would be, yeah, that'd be fine. Just put 2022, 3 or something like that.
It's
But-
all good. I just wanted to make sure that was
Okay,
right.
okay. Thanks, Jesse.
Good eagle eye, Jesse.
Any other thoughts, questions? So we did have I thought it was a successful audit and a good meeting, so. So without further ado, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, unanimous. And opposed? Great. And with that, I will offer a resolution for the completion of the annual audit of the offices of supervisor and town clerk. Caroline Town Board hereby affirms the completion of the 2022-3 audit of the offices of Caroline Town Supervisor and Town Clerk on 24 January 2023. Present were myself and bookkeeper Velvet Like for the supervisor's office and town clerk Jessica Townsend for the town clerk's office. Council members Snow and Kelly McKenzie performed the audit. The accounts and record keeping of the offices. Those offices were found to be in good order. Did I get a second yet? Seconded by Cal. Also, Jesse said, please be sure to speak up so she can hear us. I will call for a vote unless there are questions or anything. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? I can do the math, but I have to ask for the opposed, so. Great, that,
I think that's to do the resolution of the bookkeeping. That we did.
well, it's all, it's Velvet and myself together.
Okay, so
We're together. Yeah. All right. So with that, I will now introduce the Town of Caroline property tax exemptions, local law. And there are some copies over there on the podium. I will just verbally summarize. It's a 7, or what is it? It's like 7-page document. So the tax exemptions that are summarized, the new one is the one that Dan Klein mentioned, the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers property tax exemption, and then capital improvements to residential property. Capital improvements for the disabled, that's for putting in infrastructure for access for disabled persons. Low income disability, which we currently have, but we're increasing the income limit. Low income seniors, same there. And then living quarters for parent or grandparent. So that's something we don't have yet. Green building exemption, something we don't have yet, and historic barn exemption, which we don't have. And Jay Franklin, the Director of Assessment, says that nobody has ever done that in Tompkins County. So, but I thought it was a cool exemption. So
Sorry.
Historic barn.
Oh, good.
historic barn. So I'm just, it's in this first pair, sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Understood.
So I'll just say a few words about each one. The volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers exemption. Right now, there's a $200 tax credit for these individuals. And it turns out that you know, that's almost as good as this 10%, if it was just the town, as this 10% tax exemption on property. But if the county, the town, and the school district all go in, then it becomes much more beneficial. It was really nice. Jay Franklin talked to us at TCOG about this, and he's insightful, and he pointed out, I mean, it would have been so much easier in many ways if what they had done instead is just increase the tax credit. Then all these municipalities and counties wouldn't have to be passing local laws and administering it by putting this exemption on property taxes. So it's too bad, but like you said, you have to work with what you're given. And so this doesn't replace that. So any individual that qualifies can either take the tax credit or the tax exemption.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Both.
Right. So that was interesting, and he gave us a little spreadsheet. Can't remember what he called it, something like the break-even point, showing you know, how much your house would have to cost in order for the property tax exemption to equal the $200 tax credit. And so if it's just the town, I can't remember, it was like $250,000 or something like
I
that.
think it was way more than that even.
Yeah, I think it was more than that.
But the
Mark?
county does this as well.
Tim,
Yeah, I was just gonna add that one other really crazy thing about this that Jay explained to TCOG is that the firefighter has to work in the same town as his or her residence in order to qualify for this. So for example, you couldn't live in, let's say, the town of Dryden and work for the Slaterville Fire Company, for example, and get this credit on your house in the town of Dryden if your house wasn't in the same fire district. So there are a lot of things about this new state law that really aren't nearly as helpful as they should be.
yeah,
Gonna hurt people.
all right, so if any part of the town you live in is covered by that district, that's the district that you're eligible for, you know, if you have to work in that
Fire
district, the fire ambulance district.
So people like in Speedsville who live in the other county. Wait, but they wouldn't be getting taxed by us anyway for getting a credit. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah. So, yeah,
They live in Speedsville and work in Owego. They're not gonna get.
that might be too far. Yeah.
Mark, I asked you one question. You made the distinction between a tax credit and tax exemption. Is this all kind of under the aegis of what you're talking about, or?
Oh, sorry. So the tax exemption is a reduction in the it's a reduction in the value of your property that will be taxed.
Okay.
So it lowers the basis for your property taxes.
Your taxable parcel.
Yeah.
And that would be, in this example, by dint of being a volunteer.
Yeah.
There are copies of this over there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
Pete, there's a copy of the law. right
Yeah, I
there.
know, I glanced at it, but I don't.
Yeah.
In looking at it, I didn't see that distinction was. Probably, I apologize for taking your time.
And so the tax credit is actually, it's a $200 tax credit, so,
Oh, I see.
yeah, so.
But the local law will cover both instances. and people-
The tax credit's not changing, we're not touching that, that's there, that's in the state. And so this deals just with the tax exemption.
And Mark, my understanding is that the tax credit should be able to be taken, I assume, by any firefighter or say EMT, regardless of whether they own property or not.
That's correct, I'm sure that's correct.
I thought they had it one for 2 years.
Oh, that could be, I don't know what the requirement is there, but yeah. Could be. But yeah, the tax credit's not
Dan is
sensitive.
still on the call, and he might know. Put you on the spot, but if you know the answer to this. He's coming. There he is.
What was the question?
The residency requirement.
How long you have to own the property before you're,
That's a different question. So, but
I think,
to be able to apply for the property tax exemption, do you have to own it for a period of time as soon as you own your? Maybe my 2 years thing was you have to be a member of the volunteer fire company. for 2
that's
years.
right. Yep. You have to be a volunteer for 2 years. I don't know. That's a good question though. Like if you bought property, is it immediately eligible? I really don't know that part of it.
I think my mistake was, so you had to be a member of the volunteer. That was it wasn't about the property ownership. It was
The New York State site says you're entitled to claim that if for all of the tax year, you were an active volunteer firefighter or ambulance worker and were a resident of New York State. So it sounds like just for the whole tax year, you're a resident, doesn't say anything about
Right.
home ownership.
right. Great, okay. So,
Dan,
yeah, thanks, Dan. The second one is the senior and disabled citizen exemption. That's two rolled into one, just to show that we're increasing the combined annual income for the household from, it's actually currently 28,000 to now 35,000. You would qualify for a 50% exemption. And then with each $1,000 increase in income, the assessed value exempt goes down by 5%, up to 43,400. So, capital improvements to residential buildings. So this is just an 8-year exemption. Jay spoke to us about this a couple of years ago. So this is an 8-year phase-in of the increase in value due to a capital improvement to a residential building, to a home. So, and it starts at 100%. So the first year there's no increase, and then each year 12.5% is added on until 8 years out. So it's a phased-in thing. It's not permanent.
How many people apply for that?
I think he said that very few people. I think maybe none have. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I remember mentioning to me.
but I don't see why we wouldn't
Yeah. no.
go for it. And he seemed to feel like it's something that could be beneficial to people.
Yeah.
That is being ignored. Capital improvements for disabled, for putting in infrastructure for disabilities. So these are exempt up to 10 years, beginning at 50% of assessed value and decreasing each year by 5%. So then veterans exemptions. This is different. We have the first two, but not the third one. So currently, and the third one is the Cold War veterans exemption, 458B. So it qualifies veterans from that period of of our history, and so yeah. Living quarters for parent or grandparents. So that's a new one that we don't have.
Is that one a bit of a slippery slope where, you know, maybe you build something and grandparents or parents are living there and then they die or move out and
It addresses that, so it has to be a residence of parents or grandparents. So once they move on, and if they pass away or they move, then it no longer qualifies.
Right.
Is that what your question was, Cal?
then, you know, somebody's gotta be checking it or reporting it or.
That's done at assessment. So for all of these exemptions, the application is through the county, through the assessment, and I think they have pretty good ways of keeping track of things,
So
so
the town doesn't have to go around and.
no,
Yeah,
No.
Do people have to apply for these annually?
no, I don't think most of them, I think you apply once and then you're kicked in, like the ones that are phased, like the capital improvements to residential property, you would be kicked in and then that's it, you're in the program.
But with the farmland, one, we have to apply every year.
Okay,
I think this one too, Mark, because I was just on the phone with Jay.
heard me?
I think this one for the old people, I think you gotta do it every year.
Is that right? Okay,
So.
I
we just
can,
got something in the mail.
I can check on that. Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Then number 6 is the green building exemption, put that in. I don't,
Mhm.
it's intriguing. I don't think it would be commonplace, but it might become more so. That would be nice. And you can see the magnitude of the exemption changes with the level of LEED certification.
If something new is built, the new building code, would that automatically qualify as green? Do you know?
I don't think so. I don't think any of these are.
Okay.
I don't think the building, just meeting building code
Makes it green.
meets any of these levels, right? Steve Courtwright and actually 2 other code officers have impressed upon me that the building code is the minimum. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the minimum, so. The next one, number 7, is the historic barn exemption. Even though it's never been used, I think it would be cool if somebody did use it and it actually saved a historic barn.
So has this has been with the county already? So say, I'm just wondering, say somebody's like, oh, I didn't know that this was, I could get an exemption and I worked on my barn or I did something to the house 3 years ago. Could they then? go try to get this,
I think
or
that
is it something
is different for different exemptions.
Okay.
You have to,
talk to the assessment people?
I don't know, yeah,
Okay.
so. Some of them state a date where you qualify for the exception. I don't know how retroactive you can go on
Yeah,
that.
so I was just wondering like for the barn.
You have a barn you worked on?
If I were on, no, I don't, but I'm just thinking if I had a barn, if somebody had a barn. And they worked on it 2 or 3 years ago and then they go, oh, I didn't know this. Then do they get 7 years? Or do they get the full 10? I mean, there's
When's
lots
the start date? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're just deciding that we're as a town.
it's all I do is
Like,
lovely
allowing
like
things
this,
to happen.
and they can figure it out themselves.
We do not in this year.
We don't have to worry about it. Okay, good. I'll stop worrying about the details then. Good question.
So those are them, the ones that I have in here. There's also one called the, I believe it's called the business exemption or something like that. And we're automatically in that, so I didn't include it in this. we could, but. So that's that. So it's hereby introduced. And I will offer resolution to set the public hearing for this local law for February 15th at 7 p.m. to hear any and all comments, and so it'll be 7 o'clock here at the town hall. So do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Kate. Any further discussion? Okay, call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. That's the public hearing. And I'm wondering, Cal, if this would be a good time to, before I forget about it, do the history room resolution.
Sure.
Would that be okay? Do you want to, do you have it, or you want
I
to?
have it on here, you kind of reworded it a little bit, and I thought it was better, so.
Okay,
I've got it in here, or I can pass it down.
if you can make sense out of it.
Oh, yeah. Resolution to name the town of Caroline's history room, the Caroline History Room. It is currently officially the Caroline Historical Room.
Oh, is that right? Officially?
Officially, it is the town of Caroline's Historical Room. Tim, what's proper grammar?
And where is that officially recognized?
In some resolution from like 1976.
Oh, okay. So that's different than I understood. I didn't understand that it was already named.
I guess that would mean the room is historic. Historical room. Anyway. never mind.
It's officially designated. According to Barb Combs,
Okay.
The town of Caroline's historical.
That's what their Facebook page says.
And they're requesting that it be changed to the town of Caroline History Room.
I would have added that to the resolution though, just for information purposes. I like that. So, okay.
Whereas it is the responsibility of the town historian mandated by New York State to promote local history and historical buildings. And whereas the town historian Barbara Cohn has chosen Caroline History Room as the designated name because it is informative and straightforward and will promote this local history center as a resource for local residents and visitors. Therefore, be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby designates the town's history room as the Caroline History Room.
Second. Any further discussion? Everyone comfortable with this? Okay. Call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So now comes we'll I'll propose that we go through the Association of Towns resolutions, discuss them briefly and vote on them, or that's presumably, that's how the representative at the business meeting would vote on them, although they have leeway to change if they learn something new. So great. So in the way we always do this is not that we have to do it this way, but I think it's a nice, so we do round robin. So anybody want to start with the first one? Or, and did I bring them over here? Oh, I might not have. Do you guys have them up on your computers, or
Or,
So I was
it's
looking at
it's
that.
linked on the agenda?
oh, it is. Then-
It's linked on the agenda. I can't believe I didn't.
Yeah. Got it.
Opening. sorry.
Do you have it?
Yep.
Okay, you want to do the first one,
Yeah,
Catherine?
You
Great.
reading like the entirety of all of them or?
Well, actually, the way so,
I hope everything's by
me-
consent agenda.
pardon me?
Wasn't this like a consent agenda thing where the whole thing was submitted and then, no, we're reading everyone?
Yeah, I think we should do these individually, because
Okay.
they're all, yeah, so and we don't read the whole things usually, I suppose. The title or what it's about, and then straight to the resolved, and
Okay.
then we can take up questions, how's that?
Sure. All right, resolution number 1, preserve and support home rule. Resolve the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the state legislature to preserve and strengthen home rule, and be it further resolved that the Association of Towns will oppose any state or federal initiative that would weaken or eliminate New York's longstanding tradition of home rule and local government authority. Keep going. Resolution number 2.
Yeah, no, so I guess let's consider that one, so. So I'll second that, I'll second a vote on that, and call for discussion, anybody have questions about it? But, anyone opposed to it, or? I mean, it sounds good,
Sounds good, and it seems like it's there every year, the same one.
I don't know much about it. I'm just saying, I was just looking at this, the background, that last sentence, that home rule authority has been weakened over the years. That's.
it would be nice to know exactly how,
what they're
right?
talking about. Yeah.
Right,
Preempting towns from acting on areas of local concern.
Well, I mean, a good example of this is all the land use regulations.
Right.
Under home rule, we have a local
Yeah,
law
right.
for site plan review, with a local law for.
right, I'm trying to think of ways where,
Trying to get
like, the state would have, like,
Like
Take
if the
it.
state said you can't do that, we're gonna decide that
Yeah.
all towns with a population of 5,000 or less, like, have this thing.
mhm.
The fracking, you know.
Or telecommunications at the federal level, the
yeah.
towers thing, you're pretty limited, so, yeah.
Mhm.
I think we all, yeah. I can support this, so are we ready for a vote? Should we just vote on it for fun? So, all in favor? Aye. Great. Opposed?
Resolution number 2, whereas local governments are responsible for 85% of New York's roads and bridges, the repair and maintenance of which are funded by real property taxes and state and federal funding. And whereas a safe and dependable transportation network is necessary to protect users of New York's roads, bridges, and mass transit, and to encourage and sustain economic development. And whereas studies of New York's extensive major road systems continue to identify a multi-billion-dollar shortfall in funding for local highways and bridges. And whereas an enduring and reliable stream of revenue for our local road system is essential for towns and other local governments to be able to properly plan for the highway and bridge program. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Association of Towns calls on the governor and the state legislature to maintain support and increase funding for CHIPS, Pave New York, Bridge New York, Extreme Winter Recovery, POP, and other transportation funding in the 2023-2024 state budget, and to continue to provide stable and sustainable long-term funding for the local infrastructure.
Second? That. Any questions or comments?
Bob, maybe you know, I know what CHIPS, Pave New York, Bridge New York, but what is Extreme Winter Recovery?
It's it's a vote. We've had that for years.
Mhm.
Yeah,
How about POP?
That's a no.
That's
That
it,
was a no this year.
okay,
I think we received. If I remember the number correctly, like. $36,000 for that.
Pave our potholes.
oh, okay. You look,
I thought that was not, that's what it actually stands for.
Then what?
Pave. our
Potholes.
Potholes, I'm not joking, POP.
yeah,
What is, pooling road program?
We don't have any.
We don't need pooling road?
No, that's for stuff like downstate and this bunch of upstate.
Oh, okay.
There's a designated touring.
Oh, okay,
And it
like
doesn't
freeway
fall
type
under
thing. and everything. Okay.
We don't.
Any other thoughts or questions? Seems like a no-brainer, right? So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. All right, let's see, I get number 3. Strengthen state and local government partnerships by increasing local revenue sharing program funding. This is funding we get from the state every year. Aid to municipalities. And resolved, I'm just going to go to the resolved, that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and state legislature to increase AIM appropriations funded by the state by 200 million to partially offset the rate of inflation and increase costs borne by local governments. If you read the info package, it explains that, I believe from like 2010, if you accounted for inflation, it's actually a 285 million shortfall. So this is even less than that. That's very reasonable. And I know from past discussions that the state aid has been reduced below what it was originally supposed to provide municipalities, which is something like 8.9%. So I support this one very much. So seems good. So all in favor? Aye. Great. Opposed? Great. Number 4.
4, reform inequities in the real property tax cap formula. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and state legislature to adopt tax cap reforms to remedy inequities in the formula, including imposing a true 2% cap, removing infrastructure project costs from the calculation, allowing growth from pilot and tax exempt properties to be included in the tax cap calculation, removing barriers to shared services that would save taxpayer dollars, and removing special improvement district costs from the tax cap calculation.
Seconded.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not overly concerned with this issue, just because if a municipality feels they have to exceed the tax cap, they can just overwrite the tax cap, so. But that can be politically troublesome. So yeah, I certainly, I guess I'm in favor of anything they can do to make it fair. And I think this came with a history, not long ago of the annual rate of inflation was well below 2%. So the tax cap was well below 2%. So. But anyway, anyone see problems with this one? Opposed to it? No? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Resolution 5.
Okay. You want me to read the whereases or?
Not necessarily. It's
Alright.
your discretion.
Okay. Resolution number 5. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and state legislature to collaborate with local governments on any state initiatives addressing affordable housing. And be it further resolved that the Association of Towns call on the governor and state legislature to uphold local authority as granted by municipal home rule law in any legislation or state programs created to address affordable housing.
Great. Second. Okay.
makes sense. The examples they give.
Yeah, any thoughts about this one?
I just think it's interesting how it relates
Yeah.
to the land, I mean, you know, all the examples.
Right.
I think it's fine, but it's just kind of interesting because it's just showing that rather than the local, like, proposed zoning ordinance, for example, having to make decisions about this, it says in here about the requiring local governments to adopt local laws allowing for unlimited accessory dwelling units.
That it attempted to address, right, by requiring,
Mhm.
and they're saying this is against that. This resolution is. Well,
Is to take it into account local,
They have to take in, they, yeah,
Fails to consider that many towns already have local laws allowing for ADUs,
right,
development of other forms of affordable housing. So rather than preempt local zoning authority or creating mandates, this resolution proposes that the state support affordable housing development by working with local governments. I mean, I don't know what that really means in practice.
well, but it's saying that. Okay, it says the second paragraph, the one size fits all top down approach made from the state. In an effort to create affordable housing, fails to consider that many towns already have local laws allowing for ADUs and development of other forms of affordable housing. It is also insufficient to address the specific needs and situations of the community. So it's against the top down
right,
requirements,
exactly.
saying that. Yeah,
I guess I'm saying I would be in total support of the
Yeah.
state mandate to say you have to allow ADUs. That would have mitigated much of the hubbub in our town about what we are deciding to put into the rural zoning law. If we were like, actually, the state requires that.
the
we
state
have
already
ADUs.
said that. On
Like,
the
this
other
is not,
hand, I mean,
not a. It doesn't matter, I'm in support of
but
it.
it says, I mean, it
Yeah.
says that. Yeah, I would, because I would rather have local people who know the situation
Right,
close up and not somebody from Albany, you know, who's never been, you know, doesn't know anything about it. I would like us local people to have a say in it. You know, I mean, it talks about existing water and sewer infrastructure. There are a lot of people that just assume we have sewer and water infrastructure, you know, but everybody does if they don't. So I think
Yep.
it's important to have it local. Even though it's lots of arguments.
I don't think it's,
So,
I don't think it's about allowing or not allowing ADUs.
Yeah.
Right, it's about how you locally
right.
would administer the creation of ADUs,
Right,
so,
they could still say it, but they have to include the local governments. In the requirements for it.
Yeah.
Details. Yeah, they have to say it. You have to put this in.
other thoughts or questions? Shall we vote, move on? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. Number 6, another duck in a barrel.
Support the expansion of cellular and broadband service while preserving local authority. Resolved, Association of Towns calls on the governor and state legislature to continue to support broadband and cellular access and deployment for additional funding, legislative initiatives and programs while preserving local government's authority over municipal infrastructure, citing decisions, fees, and application of new periods, as well as the ability to tax telecommunications infrastructure as real property.
I just want to be clear, it's fine, but it's like my feelings about this are altered this year, I will say,
Or what?
altered this year.
Altered,
Yeah. Like I would have thought that it would be preferable to have everything be like 100% at the local level, and I think based on what's going on in our town, it makes me question it. And think,
On this issue,
yeah, well, both of these issues, right, like, whatever the local law is. There's benefits and burdens to both of these,
right,
so I'm just saying, it's interesting.
yeah, on this one. I mean, I think that these things should be dealt with at a higher level, a broader level than towns. Is that what you're saying? or-
Well, I'm saying it's interesting, I think, because so. It's an interesting conversation to have, like, if you have a feeling about that related to telecommunications, but not necessarily affordable housing, so it's just all these different issues.
Well,
Why state control around one issue and not another issue? It's like, it's an interesting conversation to have.
well, yeah, I mean, I think this kind of infrastructure. I mean, it's sort of like, to me, it's something that is, I'm not an engineer in this, but it seems
Yeah.
like it should be addressed at a macro level, creating a network for broadband and cellular service that provides for all of rural New York.
Right.
So for something like, ADUs or housing, I can see that as being, more sensitive to local conditions. And so that's just how I look at it, but I see, both, it's a continuum. I see both things, but this one definitely, I mean, so what would that mean if every municipality taxed, the,
So, yeah, so it's saying the town could tax telecommunication infrastructure as real property.
But not if it's on someone's actual parcel. Like, the tower on Bald Hill does not have its own tax parcel now, does it? That's on a landowner's parcel, and they engaged in the arrangement with the company, and then, like. the town has
yeah,
nothing to do with it.
but they pay, whatever you call it, they pay a fee, right?
To whom?
The county, the town, school district. They get the tax. money.
So, and if, the, like Spectrum or, Trident Fiber, have a build out. I mean, this is just preserving that the towns can manage a lot of this, and, and make the rules as they go. I'm just looking at it, right? So, like, what we're looking at is working with Dryden, right? We talk about fees, review periods, things like that. That we wouldn't be told how to do it from the state level. I think that's what it's saying, right? But it's also saying that we still want funding from the state. So. And we do. It's.
Yes, nitpickier makes a difference to this resolution, but in sparsely populated area like the town of Caroline, it's very different than if you're the town of Brighton,
Yeah.
and that maybe at our level, it needs to be more regional, but that's to me, it's just, they need to keep supporting things.
I mean, to me, it's similar to the rural electrification, farms didn't get electricity, for decades after the city. Because it was too expensive, I mean, the electric company didn't make money. So, anyway, so it's.
But farm productivity went up 400% since the
Right.
but
Okay,
Do we have an opinion on this one? We're gonna vote on it?
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah,
it is,
But-
okay, okay.
What's that, Kate?
I said it is really interesting. I was agreeing with Tanya.
Remember to project at the microphone. I'm worried that people may be having trouble with us, but. Can you hear us, Pete?
I'm having trouble. with it.
Okay,
I think it's largely by ears, but also the mask.
The heater just came on too.
Yeah.
So
the fan.
the fan, yeah.
Yeah, no, I did catch that. My ears are getting tough. I have trouble with discern. Pronunciation.
Good,
Okay.
so, I mean, I don't know what the, like, what the.
Yeah, I say, you know,
Consequences are of.
toss up on this one and, you know,
Uh,
I'll make a decision. I mean, people will speak when.
Yeah.
When there's a vote and, you know, we can make a decision and so, yeah. Okay,
So we should vote on that one, yeah?
I didn't vote on it. Should we vote on it?
Don't vote on,
Okay, I'll toss it up. Yeah, all in favor?
are we not voting on it?
So this is for the cellular and broadband service while proposing. I'll vote for that one.
We're directing Mark to vote for it, or just kind of.
That's right.
listen And give him.
I guess I'll just,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for any of these. The way we've done it before is, you know, if you decide at the meeting, you hear something that changes your mind, you can do that. But at this point, so background, this resolution looks to shore up the local authority of towns as they grapple with various issues associated with the telecommunications industry. One issue would be the legislation to allow broadband, municipal broadband across municipal boundaries,
Right. That's what
while also inviting cellular and broadband development in their boundaries. For example, in T-Mobile Northeast LLC and DeBellis, blah, 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 the New York Court of Appeals upheld that various telecommunications data transmission equipment falls under the definition of taxable real property.
What does that mean? I mean, I'm just using the ball.
I don't know.
What does that,
These can be taxed.
yeah, but how, I'm saying, how do we practically do that? When in our case, it's not,
Because
like AT&T doesn't own that parcel of property, right?
I think this is talking about, it's the cable,
yeah,
the
Okay.
base transceiver state, it's
Right.
their stuff. And it's saying the value of that stuff,
Tax.
the town would get to tax it as real property.
But like, can we do that? How do we do that? Okay, that- I guess that's what
This would do it.
well, I mean, yeah, it's a.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
supporting
no,
it,
I
I'm
know.
glad that it allows us to do that, but I guess the follow-up in practical terms is like. Okay, well, we're on, and we now have a new cell tower.
Well, I'm thinking broadband. I'm thinking.
We're looking for.
fiber, So.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, but it would be on the NICIC poles right now. And I'm thinking Dryden's got it on their rail trail. And then they're renting space from the NICIC telephone poles. So I don't know how we would tax that, because we don't tax the stuff that NICIC have for telephones, not NICIC, electricity, right? Yes. I mean. We're not, I'm a little confused about that, right? So. How that would work, and I'm. And also cell wireless facilities, okay, that's more like your small cell wireless facilities cited in the right of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I'm actually really interested in this because I know that there are some states. That have made it illegal to set up a broadband company like Dryden is doing.
Right.
And it was actually a push at the federal level to make it illegal across the country. Last February. So it didn't go anywhere. But
Yeah.
so there is, people are kind of,
So you convinced me to vote for this one.
yeah.
Great.
It's,
I mean, the wording is exactly the same as the housing one, right? It's supporting the thing.
Yeah.
While preserving local authority.
Right,
So in theory, that all sounds lovely, and
Right.
then in practice, how does that happen? We don't know. We'll find out.
right.
so,
I don't know.
okay. So all in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Great, okay. Thanks for hashing that one over. That was good. Okay, who gets the next one? Is it mine? Oh, boy, this is the one I wanted. Okay, resolution number 7. Provide all towns with the authority to set speed limits on local.
Oh,
roads.
yes. I think.
So resolve, the Association of Towns calls on the governor and state legislature to amend vehicle and traffic law 1662A. So that all towns have the authority to set speed limits via local law on town roads within their jurisdictions, within the limits outlined in the statute. Huh, this one appears regularly.
Mhm.
Bob, what do you think?
Mixed feelings.
Give them to us, please.
I think there's pros and cons to it. I mean,
You think what?
I think there's pros and cons to it. I wouldn't say that I'd be all for just the town setting the speed limits. There's a lot that goes into setting the speed. Rather than just like meeting with 500 people and say, yeah, so it's that speed limit. So.
It takes as long as 2 years for DOT to process requests. I mean, I've seen it longer than that. They're understaffed.
It just does give the town authority.
That's right. They would,
I think
yes.
you gotta,
I don't know how a town would do it. I don't know if it would be,
I'm not worried too much about it because I've seen this for many years.
right, I was just thinking the same thing.
So
that-
think there's
it
a-
feels like it worked very
there's some
early.
population stuff in there.
That's, yeah, so they mentioned the population stuff. So whereas suburban towns and those with population over 50,000 may only reduce the speed limit to 25 miles per hour, and whereas all other towns must submit to a request to DOT in order to have speed limits reduced, and whereas it can take as long as 2 years for DOT to process requests.
Right.
We know that. And whereas reducing speed limits on local highways is an easy and cost-effective way to limit severity and frequency of accidents. Whereas towns, as the entity in charge of highway maintenance and familiar with local traffic patterns, are in the best position to evaluate the areas where reducing the speed limit would be most beneficial. Therefore, be it your resolved, so.
For the meeting, we request an amendment to it, that will acknowledge something to the effect of in collaboration with county highway superintendent. So that it's not, it comes back.
I am assuming.
Because
Oh.
right now, I mean, it has to be in collaboration with the county, right? Before you go to the DOT, but it doesn't
Yeah.
say that here.
Well, it's just talking about the town roads, pretty much. Local highway.
I mean, it is an interesting question. The process, if it was at a town level, what that would be,
Yeah, to try to cut it from having to go clear to the state.
so
Well.
I'm in
support
favor of
this.
finding out.
I've been so frustrated, you know.
Time.
Hmm?
The time that it takes.
The time that it takes, and then, you know, since back ages ago, when they came down and looked at Valley Road. And they came down and did the study on a Thursday afternoon when it was bleeding, and said they saw no pedestrians. And when they-
Traffic on the road.
Then, yeah, there's no traffic, so there didn't see any point in, you know, reducing the speed limit, or, and I was like. You know, that's not when they're pedestrians, right? So it was a very pathetic study. It was really inaccurate, and I agree that local people have a better idea. You know, about traffic and how a street and a road is used. So, somebody coming down for a half hour and sitting
Yeah.
and looking around for people walking.
Great. Well, shall we call a vote?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, so,
Did it get seconded?
what's that?
Did it got seconded?
I don't know. Did it?
I'll second it.
Okay. So, yeah, any further discussion on it? So, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. So I will ask about, you know, what the process, what they envision would be. I think that's,
Well, can we, under municipal home rule, have a town law that gives authority to do this? No.
I don't think so.
This is just a
The state
resolution,
level.
this is just a resolution that says we support
That's
doing
right.
something at some point.
I mean, it would have
State
to,
level.
there would have to be a change in state law
Right.
to make this happen.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't one we can just do, yeah.
Yes, it is going down to 25 miles an hour.
Okay,
Number 8, increase justice court funding. Resolved that the Association of Towns requests legislative action to increase justice court fees
Hmm.
that are limited by statute $15, $25, increase justice court fees to $25 to account for the cumulative rate of inflation in order to assist local taxpayers in funding justice court expenses that serve the state and to more accurately reflect the costs incurred by town justice court fees. What does that mean? Fees, court fees.
There's a court fee of $15. That's the current reimbursement.
What's a court fee? It's not.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, yeah. What is a court fee?
What I take it to be, get a speeding ticket, you go to court, and then there shouldn't be a fine for the speeding ticket, there's gonna be, you know, a fee just because you're taking up our time.
Okay,
You know, it just kind of, there's 3 or 4 things they add on, and just speaking from experience about 10 years ago.
What if we found not guilty?
Well,
Good question.
so
it
we're
says,
just would be-
go ahead.
well, it would be justifying increasing resident payment if they don't support, but the rationale is that apparently the fees don't go to the town, the fees go to state. So we're
And it has.
charging residents in order to support the town.
It hasn't been increased since 1997. Criminal actions, moving violations, proceeding, license suspension. restriction.
And like, where did those fees go then? Like, are we short, like? I think it's like inappropriately named, actually. But nobody else.
Because it doesn't fund us.
I mean, the resolved is about inflation
Right,
only, and then it talks about this other thing.
right.
So that's, I support making an adjustment for inflation, for sure. Yeah,
You're wondering whether it should exist at all.
No, well, no, I'm just saying that, well, first, it's like, we're voting, this resolution is to then have it would not enact this in our town. It's just supporting steps to enact it, right, or allow it to be enacted.
yeah, no, so these are Association of Towns resolutions. They would lobby for these at the
Yeah.
state level, all of them. So,
Right,
yeah,
so if we vote for it, we're supporting that.
yeah, that we'd be urging AOT to
Right.
To
But
do
it's
that.
For every town, like, it doesn't say like, it goes from $15 to $25 in towns with populations of 50,000 or more, but in the town of Caroline, it gets increased by $2. So I don't think I support it.
Oh, and say that again, the,
It's just the increase, the fund. The resolution is to increase the fee,
Fee, not
Better-
funding.
the fee. that
From
the- that a
15 to-
Resident would pay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
person who's paying the money is a
Right.
resident.
right,
So you're authorizing increasing a fee that a resident would pay by $10
right,
statewide.
Right.
Which doesn't take into account the town of Caroline increasing that by $10 versus a town in Long Island increasing it by $10, unless I'm missing something. It doesn't say like a percentage, like by 1% at what?
oh. So I'm assuming this fee is set at the state level and it's currently at 15 and it would go to 25. Is that right?
It's not,
I'm saying it's $10 to someone in Carolina and $10 is like a uniform increase. It's
Oh.
interesting. And then the
Yeah.
way that it's
well,
title is you're increasing justice court funding, but you're not.
you'd be increasing justice court funding and funding by what, 42% share to the town also of whatever's collected.
But it's not key to income levels.
Yeah, it's not key to income, it's not key to size of town, it's not key to like what the court, like, operation fees are in a town. I mean, I realize that the justice courts don't operate like downstate so much, right? So you have some assumption that it's a smaller, more rural town, but
Definitely.
Right.
still, I don't know.
Well, we still, I mean, there's still costs, right? We still have to have coffee, we still have to, yeah, there's still costs. Yeah, having court.
Right. Like, are we in a whole, like, are we? We have a problem with,
Well, I mean, if we don't keep it up with inflation, right? You know, I mean, if we left it where it was in 1975, right, it was probably $2 or something. I mean, the money, I'm guessing, the money town gets goes into making copies or running backups or computers or file cabinets with locks, things like that. That would be my guess. But I don't really know. I've never looked at those.
I don't know enough about it, I was not at the audit, I mean, whoever was at the audit knows what the finances are of our court. If we're hurting, then I support this, if we're not, I guess I don't support it.
Oh, I mean,
It's fine.
you know, we don't, court fees don't cover the cost of the court in the town of Caroline. So, I mean, I support this, just if what they're saying about inflation is accurate, then I don't, it's a no-brainer to me. And without evaluating it in terms of, you know, social, inequity issues and things like that. So, yeah. It's another complicated one, I guess. So should we, how are people feeling about this one? Cal, any ideas?
Mixed feelings about it,
Say what?
mixed feelings about it, you know, the $10 increase in fee, and yet, you know, should people that don't have to appear before the court be subsidizing costs?
Right.
So
Don't say more about that.
people who don't have to appear before the court, stay out of court, and they're kind of, if you will, you know.
Right, you're saying,
The town would get another $10. So that's transferring some of the, I see it, they're transferring some of the cost.
to the rest of the town.
If we have to put $20,000 in the court budget, well, they're getting $10 per. Appearance, then there's 200 appearances a year. And that would be, all other things being equal, there's 2,000 less that has to come on the general fund from the court. At least decide. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, you know, between speeding tickets and all, you know, simple speeding ticket adds up. Pretty good number of, you know, failure to not wear a seatbelt, you know, things like that.
But it,
You know, quite often it's people that can least afford it, seem to. I don't know, I shouldn't say that.
well, I think, like, the way, well, you're saying, if let's say that we needed more money to go into the budget of the court. We would do that, that would be dispersed equally, essentially, like, it would come from taxpayers, right, broadly?
If what now?
It would come from taxpayers broadly, like, if we
Yeah.
needed to add to a budget.
Right,
To say like, we need more for the court, like the court's not, we need more money for the court,
right. We make up whatever the difference is. So,
but we as the taxpayers.
Right.
of everybody,
it goes into
yeah,
the tax levy.
Right, but this is saying that the people who are being issued the
Some.
ticket
Right,
are paying that.
they're
So I
paying,
guess I would personally prefer for that to be levied equally as a town to support a court system as opposed to adding a fee
for the violators.
to a violator who already is,
Okay,
you know, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I still,
Philosophically, like,
I stick, to me, the principle is just that. You know, since 1997 or whatever, we haven't, there hasn't been an adjustment for inflation, so this is saying, you know. If I understand correctly, that if it was adjusted for inflation, a minimum increase, which is a lot, $10 from 15. But that's just because it hasn't been done sequentially over 20 years.
has this been introduced before?
Uh,
It says it periodically appears, I just don't know what that means.
yeah, that's what it means
Okay.
in other years. Yep. All right, well, I think
Anyway. we don't-
we've hammered it. We can move on.
Okay.
So. I can ask questions, but. Do we want to vote on it or just leave it alone?
Board yet?
No, I gotta go, sorry. I wish I could stay for.
Thank you for coming.
I'm joking.
That's what I thought.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, have a nice day.
By the way,
You
the
too.
CPA,
Bye.
CPI inflation calculator, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, adjusting for inflation, $10, 1997 has the same buying power as $18.65 today. Go, separation.
Okay.
I don't know, just a little lower than 25, that's all I'm saying.
It went from
Oh, yeah,
15 to
no,
20
you're-
15 to 25.
Sorry, hold on, let me change it, you're right, I was thinking 10. Okay, 27.98 it should be,
Okay,
so it's a little low.
Yeah, done.
Adjusting for inflation.
okay,
Okay,
so. I support this one, but I hear other voices too. so.
I supported you.
Okay, great. The next one is a good one, huh? Who's got that one? Okay, you get the trees.
Number
I get
9.
to trees, right. Resolution number 9, prior written notice for trees planted or maintained by towns. Okay. I'm skipping the whereas of the trees planted. Okay, so the resolve that the Association of Town calls on the governor and the state legislature to amend town law 65-A to provide for prior written notice and the subsequent failure to reasonably repair as prerequisites for maintaining a civil action against any town or town superintendent of highways for damages or injuries to person or property sustained by reason of defective trees planted or maintained by towns or town superintendents of highways.
We're checking all the.
Planted
quality.
trees lately.
It's got his name on it.
We haven't planted any trees.
Does the town plant trees?
That's not, no, not really. Although I think you planted that tree by the front door over there. That's like a plum or something or apple.
Yeah, but before it looks dangerous.
But if, yeah, I mean, if there were trees planted, I mean, it used, long ago, they used to plant trees along the road for shade, right?
Yeah.
So to be wind block. But I don't know, I guess there are like towns and villages that do that, right? To make it pretty along the street. I also think it does that. Different shade trees, so.
I don't know which property the ones that are allowed for the real thing from cemetery.
No, those, that's, Lounsbury. Oh, near the cemetery, those are RCs, not the towns. And then, but the Lois replanted those,
Right.
right, after they took down the other ones that were close to the road.
So those are planted by UTC.
Well, this one is, to me, pretty wonky legalese kind of thing.
Yeah,
We just.
I think it-
Not applicable for now.
it's not actually applicable right now.
Yeah.
In principle, I guess it's saying.
Right.
It makes sense, right?
It does. It makes sense, so you can't get sued. The town can't get sued as easily, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's-
Unless somebody's provided prior written notice,
Right,
and then a subsequent failure to, which that sounds reasonable.
it does, I mean, like, I'm worried that tree's gonna fall on my house, falls on your house, right? You know, 'cause it gives
Or
somebody a
the
chance.
tree falls on your house and you say,
Yeah.
I was worried. you
Right,
know,
yeah.
In
Right.
retrospect, so, yeah,
So I think it makes
Which-
sense.
An act of nature.
Yeah.
If you liable for act of nature.
right. So,
Okay.
just thinking of that. Okay, great.
All right.
10,
Oh, yeah, 10.
resolution number 10, amend civil service rules to foster a more efficient hiring process for public employers. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the state legislature to amend civil service rules to make the hiring process easier for public employees. So there's different, have all these different
Yeah,
ways to do that.
the one whereas where it has all of the different provisions there that offer continuous recruitment when possible, which is fine. But some of them gave me pause. Yeah, I don't know. It looks mostly pretty reasonable, I guess.
Yeah, allowing email and phone contact in lieu of mailing letters. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean. Yeah, I've tried to get a job at the state, and it's just Byzantine, it's bizarre, I get these letters in the mail sometimes, they're like, oh, you qualified for this, and I'm like, what? This is like this number, it doesn't even say what I'm qualified for, you know, and it's just. Yeah. So, I support, making it,
You support 10.
I do support 10.
Okay. Yeah, reading it over, I
It
think,
really
I
makes
don't,
it work.
it seems reasonable, I guess. Any other thoughts or? Okay. Looks like generally, also you, Cal? You'd like this one a lot?
I don't like it a lot, I don't dislike it a lot, I just.
Does it make sense or does it not make sense?
It makes sense, I just.
Not excited.
How applicable it is to our situation.
For what,
Well, we do the civil service hiring, so
Yeah,
for what position, code?
for, yeah, lots
What
of,
else?
yeah.
What
Well,
else?
code enforcement is the one
Yeah.
that I've done for the town.
I guess I was thinking of people trying to get jobs in
Yeah.
the town, you know, with the
Yeah.
county or something, it's, you know,
yeah, I think outside our box, rather than
Right.
statewide,
right.
it probably makes sense. I guess I was just thinking, doing these things statewide. You know, what do I think of it? Worry about us here.
Right.
I don't think.
Okay. I'm getting a general positive one on that one. How about number 11?
Right there.
For the ones that we have questions on, we're not voting, we have like not voted for the last couple.
Okay, well, yeah, so, okay, I can vote for this one. All in favor? For the civil service. So what was the one before that?
towns, I'm sure it makes sense to me. I mean, we're not just worried about our town, we're worried about other towns.
Yeah, the trees planted, I didn't find it very relevant, but I figured it made sense.
Yeah.
So I was in favor of it, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Good.
All in favor? Aye. Great, okay. Okay. Number 11, is that me?
You're up.
Amend prevailing wage regulations, so. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on members of the state legislature and the governor to amend Article 9. Of the New York State labor law to exempt building service contracts less than 20,000 from prevailing wage laws, and be it further resolved that the Association calls on the members of the state legislature and the governor to amend Article 8 of the New York State labor law to exempt public works contracts less than 35,000 from prevailing wage obligations. Seconded by Cal. Background, this resolution seeks amendments to New York State labor law to exempt smaller public works projects and service contracts from prevailing wage regulations with a recommendation of 20,000 threshold for building service contracts under Article 9 of the labor law and 35,000 threshold for public works contracts under Article 8 of the labor law. I already got that from the results, so didn't explain much more. But I think I support this one. Yeah,
So you wouldn't have to put anything out to bid if it was under those.
no, you could put it out for bid. You would put it out for bid. It's
not-
whether they would have, the contractors would be subject to prevailing wage
Oh,
regulations.
sorry, I'm reading further down, I guess, in the background.
Okay, is that the next
Oh, I see,
page?
wait, that's generally for law.
Wages, not for.
Okay, hold on, bid. Sorry, you're saying that. Oh, okay, sorry, I misread it.
It allows people to be paid less than
If you
prevailing
look-
wage.
if you look at the prevailing wage, guidelines, you go to Sussex County, it's like, I think there is $63 an hour. So if you apply for that, you have to abide by that in Sussex County or Chicago County. Something like that, so the prevailing wage rates as you go towards the state, you really.
But it says the rate of wages prevailing in the same trade or occupation in the locality within the state.
Mhm.
Where such public work is to be situated. Erected or used, so. Isn't that saying that you're trying to compare? Apples to apples, so to say, like,
I just know.
Well, it says here, while seasoned contractors exist throughout the state, it can be challenging for towns in rural areas to find contractors to take on small jobs such as repairing the roof of a town hall, building a small gazebo in the town park, or replacing a faucet in the bathroom at the highway garage. Exempting small projects with a monetary threshold similar to competitive bidding thresholds will provide towns with the opportunity to contract with small local businesses to efficiently maintain local assets.
or we could just decide we're gonna pay those people. A competitive wage,
The prevailing wage.
yeah, and I don't see how
This
this
is what prevailing wage is.
So it's just, it goes right along with inflation. Volumes. Basically, an equipment operator may get $100 prevailing wage per hour,
yeah,
which would mean if you did a job for the town that was bid out, you would not have to pay that operator $100 an hour. Before long, your operating costs become more expensive than your actual job that you're doing.
okay,
So this just raises that number. So you, if it's under that, you don't have to pay prevailing wage. If it's over that, you have to pay prevailing wage.
I just don't know what the prevailing wage.
It's
And
a lot.
everything.
It's a lot.
I think you're asking, Catherine, why we would not want to pay prevailing wage, right? It's a reasonable question. Oh. And it's making me scratch my head, but
But the prevailing wage is not prevailing wage, but when it comes to, material settle credit.
no, you're talking about the living wage. That's different.
Yes, correct,
That's different.
but the living wage is not in the prevailing wage.
Yeah,
Talk to other states.
I'll add it to the list of things I need to learn about. It just seems like this is I mean, I hear what you're saying, because you're trying to like reduce costs for the town, but in essence, with the saying that you can pay, saying like, in small rural areas, it's hard to find people, you know, it just seems a little,
Well, I mean, so. Let's see, if you have a contractor that's a sole proprietor,
yeah,
prevailing wage doesn't apply.
okay.
It's only if they have employees. So,
But then the examples that you're reading, it's like,
Yeah, but that wouldn't have anything to do with this.
it wouldn't,
It would if. they
because
had-
these are
It
two,
would if they had 2 employees.
Right.
So they could pay their employees $25 an hour now. $100. They do a job for 30,000.
exempt building service contracts less than $20,000. So for small jobs, people are able to get paid less than some standard that has been set. I don't know.
Than the
anything about it,
prevailing wage, yeah.
that-
I think I want to. I need more understanding of the rationale.
I think the big thing is there's no room to absorb cost of simple.
Hmm.
If you have a job for $250,000, there's some wiggle room there. There's no wiggle room in that job for. I think it's just everything has gone up over the years, and just trying to raise this number along with everything else.
Yeah,
Because this is usually the union rate.
Like I said, I don't know anything about prevailing wage. It just seems like a standard has been set for big projects. Like we want to make sure that people on big projects with big companies get paid more. And we're trying to say, but while people with small projects who make less money can make less. Unless I'm misunderstanding it, like I don't.
that's
know.
why, yeah, so,
But a lot of times, a larger company won't take on a small thing like. Can you fix a small hole in the roof? I mean, I'm just saying, and they're like, well, no, we just do the entire roofs, we don't bother with little repairs. So I'm just saying, I mean, I've had an awful time trying to get little things fixed.
But wouldn't we get people to do more work if we paid them more, not less? I just don't understand. Like,
Necessarily. May I jump in? or not?
I mean, it's interesting. The last one, right?
it's okay. I don't know, what's your point, Pete?
I can think your own thought. I think there are instances, let me just take, I'll just name John Carson, the hypothetical, okay, he did the job, say, for $15,000, and she's got people that he doesn't pay that much, he can afford to bid the job. And I just don't see it being realistic that to meet prevailing rates, you might have to bid the job for twice as much to cover it. That might be something that you would even be reluctant to do, because then the guys get a taste of the $80 and the whole might not want to keep working for 20. And I'm not trying to impute any kind of moral or ethical motives to this. It's just my sense of how it kind of works locally. And I think it gives local people more of an opportunity, local small contractors, more of an opportunity to participate in these small jobs. I don't want to. You would want cars to bid $500 million job, but
Right. Yeah,
I
it
guess
makes me
that's-
wonder what the purpose is of the prevailing wage. That's not what's under discussion.
pardon me?
It makes me just be
Yeah.
curious about what the purpose is of a prevailing wage, but that's not what we're.
I
talking
think
about.
as Kate said, it's kind of been pushed through by unions. So it's basically saying, hey, you're gonna pay union rates whether you hire us union guys or not. So, you know, that's all doing the union.
And I'd be curious what the county, oh, Dan's still here, like, you know, if you have like a living wage or you have some other like county
Well,
wide.
much low, I mean, low paid operators get paid more than this so-called living.
Right, so it just makes me wonder what interest for the prevailing wage.
To look up the history of prevailing wage.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It's not-
So the question is, we
Oh,
want
Dan's
to know,
here. Dan, tell me.
we want to know more about why prevailing wage should not apply at some lower threshold, at
Right.
some lower, why that is. So,
Dan's gonna enlighten us.
do you have an answer, Dan?
I really don't. I love this conversation. I don't really know much about prevailing wage either. Sorry.
It makes
Okay.
me feel better that you don't, because I'm like, I should know about this.
So the way I, you know, I want to know more before I vote on this. Yeah.
I'll be less, we'll finish the meeting.
Okay.
We'll go back to grad school.
I think the easy way to look at it is like, if you're at, say, let's use that $30,000 number, then it might just be a maintenance job. Where when you talk about a new project, you're talking new development, it's bigger than that.
Mhm.
So if you look at it, it may not just be new construction, it may just be a simple repair. Then you can kind of look and see, well, all right. Right, whether it's a roof or whether it's some plumbing issues or something, it's just raising that bar just that little bit. Because regardless of what's gonna get passed, if you vote no, now you've left that limit there, so now every job is prevailing wage, the buck's getting passed back to the town, so to say, it's a town job. So,
Well, I guess we need a resolution to examine the applicability of the prevailing wage, I guess, in 2023. I mean, I don't know, who is it helping? That's my question.
it helps. I mean, it helps, if you're doing a town job, it helps the town. Then the town has to pay those people for their own rate. So, I mean, take the highway barn, for instance.
Yeah.
The highway barn, that's prevailing wage. And it increases the cost of that project by, I would say, in a highway barn, a lot.
I think what we're trying to figure out is more the ethical principle of, you know, of why there would be, I mean, if the prevailing wage applies and it's, then, you know, why wouldn't it just apply
Well,
without the size of the job mattering? So
that's my question.
that's my,
Yeah.
so
that's a good question.
I'm not gonna vote on this.
Okay.
Just, I gotta find out more, but I think there will be people who can
Let's know what it is.
weigh in on it, so. Do more, so, great.
Find lots of experts.
And, okay, so let's move on. It's getting close to 9 o'clock and,
Talk about this concealed carry permit thing, or that's just.
pardon me?
There's a note about issues referred to staff, and that they're letting us know that that's been referred to staff.
I'm sorry.
The last page says issues referred to staff. 2023 AOT Resolutions Committee, having considered other recommended position proposals, blah, 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 has directed the executive director and staff to proceed in the following areas. It says seek public input on concealed carry permitting law.
Oh, I didn't see that. Is that right? After number 11?
Strategy,
I just don't know what we're supposed to do with this, if anything, like, are we supposed to seek public input, or they're just letting us know that they are seeking public?
I think they are, the staff is going to proceed on that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're supposed to.
Wow.
Note to town, I guess.
Yeah, right.
How I felt about it, I was like,
No, thanks for pointing that out. Let's see.
So are they gonna be releasing this at the Association of Towns meeting saying, hey, we think about concealed carry law?
I mean, I wonder, I don't know. Didn't it?
Yeah, they're gonna frisk you, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so they're gonna be seeking public input on
We
that,
thought this was all about planting trees, but now, they're gonna know how serious.
but. Good, okay. Great, okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Did people have a chance to see the January 4th minutes that Jesse sent out? Any comments or anything? I thought they looked good.
Great.
So, okay. So those are approved. And we will take care of January 18th ones next time. And so I will call for ideas, whatever, resolutions for February 15th. We will start the meeting with the public hearing on the tax exemption local law. And part of the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers things is that lists of eligible volunteers has to be submitted. We're planning to pass this law before March 1, so it'll go in the 2024 tax rolls. Also, the assessment has to receive those lists of eligible volunteers by that date for them to be eligible for 2024. So I will be putting that in my letter to the fire departments so that they can get those lists to Jay. So
Can we also clarify if they have to apply for it annually? for the
Oh, yeah.
contract,
okay,
Or, you know, if it's. It's a little-
yeah, I'm pretty sure not, but
Some things like the capital improvement exemption, you know, you apply for it, then it's a. You know, just a mathematical thing.
right.
Down through, I guess, you know, you own the property, but you sell the property, there's a. Transfer with the title or.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, just become
That'd be-
value to the sale price of the house.
We don't have to decide on that
No,
because it's
no.
just part of what it is, but
But it's part of reforming the public hearing.
I could see if Jay wanted to join us. He's expressed willingness to do that in the past, so.
He knows the stuff called.
So, okay. So, yeah, so that, we'll start with that public hearing. I was gonna propose that we maybe take an opportunity to trade thoughts on looking at Steve Gibbion's list and think about the town hall. We don't want to neglect that for too long. Keep moving on that. So everybody has Steve's document, right? That we sent out, I think. So we should, let's do that.
We should have played for him.
Probably will.
Yes, because it would be most likely for the state grant, you know. And this one.
And I haven't
Law
done,
says if you hire a local person, they get paid more, and if you hire an employee, national. But nobody asked.
what's that?
This doesn't make any sense for our local minutes. Moving on.
So the COVID policy came up recently, so I'll try to dig in on that and maybe we can
Right.
trade thoughts beforehand and
And which policy?
the COVID
COVID policy,
Oh, right.
employee policy.
Yeah, right,
So we
right.
need to address that.
we need to update that.
So, yeah. So,
We're not just going with. Following the current.
so,
You're saying in terms of. We'll talk about it.
yeah, I think we need to, I mean, we decided for right now, we have the policy that's in place.
Right,
but-
right.
But then we need to think about the future and
Because it's so outdated.
Yeah,
any
we follow
changes.
through
Your
that.
data is
So,
outdated.
great.
Because quarantine and stuff is.
Right, and we just- I thought we already had.
We didn't change, we didn't change, it has to be changed. Conversation.
Okay. What's the procedure for getting rid of that policy?
It's just a resolution. Yeah.
We were thinking like we'd get it through by March. when We talked about it. I thought we were gonna talk about it this month and then try to vote on it in March. The timeline. that's what we
I
talked about.
will, I don't think it's an emergency, so it would just, but I think, I don't want to let it linger, so I figured
No,
let's
yeah.
talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Please let me know your availability for next week, if you have availability in the day hours to do interviews with the applicants for the highway project. So, yeah, um,
Trying to set some of that hour,
um,
time.
maybe, I don't know, if people can, Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
500 something.
so I have yours, yeah, here it is.
Tuesday is not good for me.
How long of a meeting are we talking?
And you're also not available on Friday, right, Val? Or Friday's cheese day, right?
Yeah, but I could take a letter out. In other words, I would move my cheese day. If that's the only day it's gonna work out, you know.
Okay. Okay, thanks. So I would think we'd want to schedule, set aside an hour for each applicant.
And it has to be during the day?
Well, probably for, I think, yeah, I would think so. And
Can we do noon to one? Or is it
can we what?
do like noon to one at any time?
Noon
I
to
don't have
one?
To be there, but I can't.
Yeah, noon to one's possible. I can check and see. So I understand
Yeah.
you're fully.
Fine if I'm not there, but just don't know like if it is.
Yeah.
How essential, like, what's the priority? Like, obviously, there's a schedule, that's probably number one priority.
Yeah.
And then number two priority is having. The. Applicants to be able, or no, we're just meeting, just among us, right? At this point,
No, these are for interviews with the,
right?
Is it very, Mark, you say an hour per?
Yeah,
I would say, does that seem reasonable?
an hour for the whole thing.
An hour, no,
Now per.
an hour per,
4 hours.
right,
Next week
right.
during the day.
Right.
I'm just clarifying what I'm not complaining.
that's-
It's like this. Not.
That's Monday through Thursday, 12 to 1.
What?
That's Monday through Thursday at lunchtime, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we could do that if they can do that, but,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is my presence is not necessarily priority, and the priority is
Right.
getting it done, having the interviewees be able to do it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we have a threshold of number of people who really have to be there.
I might be able to talk to people for the day.
It might- I think it will be.
I think that
I-
would be.
I'm thinking 2 a day at max.
Yeah. Um. So next week, I'm tutoring, kids,
Fine.
every day. So
Okay.
I would have to leave here at 1:15. So, it's just in the afternoons.
You're available until 1:15?
Yeah.
From 8. Oh,
Yeah, I'm pretty open next week,
okay.
but not so much in the afternoons, I guess, so.
I'll just say 1.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Oh,
Situation, or they have to be here in person? Is this a Zoom situation, or? we have
I
to
think
be
it'll
here
be
in
Zoom.
person?
Yeah, definitely.
Not Monday,
Okay.
not Monday morning.
Monday's not good for me either.
Monday's
so.
Monday.
I don't think they know.
Oh, right, they're not local, yeah, okay.
One guy's out of option, that's a serious issue. I don't know about the other two.
I think one's reasonably local.
Oh, that's right, one's more sense.
But I'm pretty sure it'll all be.
I mean, I'll do my very best to schedule it one, I don't.
Yep, I'll work on it in the next couple days, send something out. So,
Do you have preference that, I mean.
See, I give Mark my time.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I can,
Monday is fine, as long as we do it before 1,
mhm,
anytime before 1. And I have a superintendent meeting on Wednesday, which I'll be back. I'd say 10 o'clock, so it is 10 o'clock, other than that, the rest of the week is fine.
I've got you Wednesday afternoon. Is that right? You say after 10 o'clock?
Yeah, but then I'm probably gonna get at 10 or 11 o'clock. Okay, so.
11 o'clock?
but-
Okay. Okay. All right, great. That sounds good. So we'll talk. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the historic town hall, so we can dig in on that. And if you think of anything, you know, in the next week, shoot me a line or I'll do the same. We can stack it up. So great. If there's nothing else, and then I am recommending that we invite Guy to the meeting with the court. If that's. I just
How
wanted
many
to,
people are to be at that? That's the list that went out today.
Yeah.
That he marked up. And that's for anyone who can, as many of us who can attend.
What time's that?
you can attend if you wish.
Okay.
It's not necessary.
Who's attending then?
This is gonna be the court and myself and Justice Josh Shapiro.
Okay,
And then
Guy.
the guy said that's a town board decision. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
yes,
I recommend that he come.
yes.
Mr. Shapiro also did.
Sorry, I missed, when is this meeting?
I don't know,
Oh,
Okay, let's,
that's how I missed it.
just, yep, hasn't been scheduled yet.
yeah,
So-
the guy sent this email with his
Yeah.
markup, so.
Okay.
I
Great.
wasn't clear if this was for town board members also to attend, or why we were included on this whole schedule.
You're included because
That's great.
it was yeah, you should be.
Okay,
So. Great, thank you. That's great. So we'll be working on that. Done. If there's nothing further, I'll call for,
Would Shapiro be here in person or
I believe so.
can Crow be here in person?
Yep.
Well, I need to be open and close.
It's not open to the public. No. So, without further ado,
Doesn't have to be if you have one.
pardon me,
Doesn't have to be if you're good.
if what? Yeah, so I'm not expecting that. So
Well, so that does fall under.
if there are more than.
if there are more than, if
there
it's
will
3
not
or
be.
more, so.
You guys take care of it.
I would not phrase it that way, but
Seems to follow.
no one's hiding anything. We're trying to resolve a town issue.
Follow it out. The resident.
No, that's not true.
Well,
I
then
won't accept that.
I should be able to attend, if you have a reason for not wanting to.
It's a personnel matter. It would be an executive session anyway, even if it were in a town board meeting, and the public would not be able to attend.
So elected officials, it's in personnel. This is between the town board and the judges, all of them elected officials.
I'm not gonna argue with you about this.
So,
Ex-
no, so,
And there are other.
yeah,
I'm not
so
gonna-
anyway, I've gotten the information I needed. I just wanted to know your opinion on that. Mr. Crow asked for the town board opinion about whether he attended. You let me know. Thank you. And so I would like to offer a resolution to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
And all in favor?
Fine.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Okay, thanks, everybody.